Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later, as right now it's time for a bit of blue, as we're taking a look at a right horny old slag. Now before your mind starts racing, I am of course referring to this rather shiny specimen, which is one of those unofficial third-party toys I hear people mention from time to time. I don't know, some company called FansToys or something? It'll never catch on. Anyway, I've chosen him for today's spotlight purely because he's not only a robot, but he's also a dinosaur. And that, in my book, makes him Triceratops. FT-04D is a repainted version of Scoria, the third release from popular third-party outfit FansToys, and was released in 2015. The original Scoria is a masterpiece-styled representation of the Dinobot known as Slag, and was first released the year prior in the character's more familiar cartoon-style colour scheme. This limited recolor is instead a nod to the history of the Transformers toy line, however, directly referencing the original Slag toy's Diaclone roots. Diaclone was the Takara toy line that existed in Japan prior to Transformers, with the design that would become known as Slag beginning life as part of the Dinosaur Robo subline. The Dinobots look rather different during that incarnation, and Slag's pre-Transformers red and blue colour scheme is of course the inspiration for today's toy. Though the design leans heavily into aping Slag's animation model, it still makes a fantastic approximation of his original toy too, and looks incredibly stylish in robot mode. Perhaps that's because the figure blends so many elements from sources other than just the original animation, with molded details and paint applications all providing hints of the character's pre-Transformers origins. The new blue colour scheme is a real showstopper in hand, standing out quite vibrantly against the more familiar uniform grey covering much of Scoria's body. Then there's the silver and red chrome sections found on areas such as the chest, which never fail to sparkle whenever they catch the light. Scoria's head sculpt is also a delight, capturing the essence of the character from the screen, but now with a brand new colour scheme to boot. I'm also a big fan of the silver sword on offer here, which looks quite delightfully classy and makes for a real break from the typical red trappings of the standard colour scheme. There are some elements of this figure that clearly show FansToys was still perfecting their design process at the time, with a rather obscene amount of diecast in the feet for one thing. Really though, I honestly can't say enough nice things about the figure overall, and it remains a real curio in my collection to this day. I'll admit, I have considered moving him on at least once or twice, but every time I've been persuaded to hold on to him purely on account of just how captivating he is to look at in hand. He's also a lot of fun to handle though, and of course a large part of that is definitely the surprisingly fluid transformation scheme on offer. Whilst these days many collectors have become somewhat used to the idea of FansToys transformations being complex and heavily engineered affairs, Scoria retains a comparative sense of simplicity. Although still manages to pack in a few moments of delight, including how those legs come together. The result is that unmistakably menacing Triceratops alternate form, which again does a cracking job at bringing the character's on-screen styling to life in 3D form. Though the colour differences are definitely less obvious in this mode, you still get enough of a whiff of those Diaclone elements peeking through overall. That's to say nothing of the palpable amount of bling going on here, with both gold and silver chrome making for quite the strong first impression overall. Should you prefer, then there's even an optional translucent head that can be purchased separately for this release. Again as a nod to Slag's classic toy-oriented look, although I've always preferred the chrome myself. Then there are the red eyes piercing through the head sculpt, which suggest an air of menace in spite of the toy technically representing a lifeless automaton. That's in keeping with its Diaclone representation, where unlike in Transformers, the robots existed purely as vehicles for small minifigures known as Dinauts. There may be no cockpit in sight here, as you'd find on the original Slag toy, but still it's fun to imagine this new take fitting into that very different pre-Transformers world. Even if you just prefer this take on Scoria as representing yet another warrior in the Autobot ranks, he still makes a fitting accompaniment for other toys with a Diaclone nod, both official and non. Either way, he joins the rest of the FansToys Diaclone Dinobots as being fitting updates to the original toys, and is the kind of repaint I wish we still saw more of today. So Diaclone Scoria here comes from that wonderful early era of FansToys output when the unofficial outfit was still willing to take a bit of a punt on weird and wonderful repaints, as opposed to these days where any recolors we do get from them are about as different to the main releases as Night and Later That Night. Seriously, how are you going to give us a new version of FansToys Sovereign and not have it be the toy-inspired, Marvel comic-accurate grey colour scheme, eh? Anyway, at least they really went to town on the Dinobot set back in the day, with Diaclone versions, Generation 2 versions, Generation 1 toy versions, silver painted X versions, and vegetable versions? Wait, no, that was just Scoria, who is still regularly compared to a potato by fans who find his dinosaur mode proportions a little dubious. Now, I don't agree with it myself, but it does at least make for a slightly amusing alternate take on the alliterative nature of the Dinobot names, I suppose. Anyway, potato antics aside, that's it from me. So don't forget to drop me a like if you enjoyed today's video, and have a great rest of your day. TTFN.